All right, guys, let's talk about the Epstein Files. It's a mess. Now, there are a few creators that I wanted to see what they were saying. I saw, of course, the King was talking about it a lot. Maybe we can choose a clip or two. Why not? So I'm gonna do Asmongold clips. I know Mutahar spoke about it. We might check him out as well. But we gotta talk about the Epstein Files a little bit. So, what is your opinion on the Epstein Files? What do you guys think? I kind of want to see if maybe you know some things that I don't, because as far as I'm concerned, the first thing I want to say about the Epstein Files is, of course, and this should be obvious. This should be obvious. Two things. Thing number one: if your name is in the Epstein Files and you are innocent, although we'll have to qualify that, just because your name is in there, we can't prove it's a crime. But if your name is in there, whoever you are, I don't care at this point, and you did what we all know they did, then I think criminal charges should happen if it can be proven in front of a court of law, whoever it is. This is my stance on the Epstein Files. I think it's a pretty obvious stance, but that's my stance on the Epstein Files. I have seen, however, people that just because your name is in the Epstein Files, I mean, if you're a powerful person, rich, one of the top elites, millionaires, politicians, I think the name is going to be in there. I personally don't care if a name is in there unless it can be proven, first of all, that they went. Because already if you go to the island, I'm going to question you. Because if you go to the island, I don't know, I mean, maybe one thing one could argue, right? It doesn't matter which name we are talking about right now. We can talk anyone you want. But say you're a rich and powerful person. You go into the Epstein Files. Island. Sorry, you don't go to the files. You go to the island. You go to the island. You're invited. And then you're presented with sex workers, right? Prostitutes. I'm not even going to dignify prostitutes. Of age. And they're like, this is beautiful escort, if you want to use the fancy term. Prostitutes. And then they're like, oh, there is this woman. And do you like her? Which one is your favorite? And all that kind of stuff. Morally, to me, that's already... like, it's an awful thing, but then again, it's because I'm coming at it from a Christian moral perspective. So as a Christian, I'd be like, no, I'm not interested. I don't want to pay for sex. But if the person in question is not a Christian, and they have atheistic values, secular values, and they go, and they think to themselves, I can see how they can reason, and I'm trying to put myself into perspective. And they can think, hey, I'm paying this escort. She's a woman, 26. She wants to do this. She's not forced to do this. They can see it as a transaction. I give you money. You give me what I want. It's a transaction. We both benefit from it. As long as they're adults. It's immoral to me, but that's because of my faith. So I don't want to force my faith onto other people. At that point, I'd be like, hey, I don't like it. If they cheated on their wives, that's awful. Then don't talk to me about importance of the family and traditional values. But that's that. And then maybe they left the island, but they never knew that there were minors involved. Then it's one thing. It's a completely different matter. But what if, of course, you have the other end of the spectrum. Someone went there because they knew they could get whatever they wanted. And so they're offered what you're into, what's your kink, what do you like. You can have whatever you want. You want a woman? You get a woman. Asian woman? Get an Asian woman. You want a boy? That's what you're into? If they're offered that, if they take the offer and they're actual PDF files, and this is demonstrated in a court of law, whoever it is, left, right, up, center, Christian, atheist, I don't care. I don't care. They should pay for it. But what if they were offered, and they rejected? They're like, nah, I'm not into that stuff. Just, I'll get whatever. Give me the Polish lady. Well, here's the thing. If they knew and they said nothing, I still have a problem with it. If they knew that thing was going on. Of course, it depends on the level of power, I guess, whether or not they could do something about it. But for instance, if you're a president, couldn't you send the FBI if you knew? So my question is, did you know? And that's going to be my question to every single person of power and influence that went to the place or heard people talk about the place. How much did they know? Because once again, if they weren't offered and they didn't know, then they didn't break any law, they didn't do any crime. I don't care if their name isn't there. So that's the real question here. But if they did it, or they knew that they were doing it, because there is also the possibility that there was blackmailing involved, or maybe, I'm just going to say, we're going to go a little conspiratorial here today, but maybe even a president couldn't do anything about it because there was someone more powerful that was running this. But who would it be? I'll leave it up to you guys. I don't know. Innocent until proven guilty. Well, not according to the Act Man. I think you know who the Act Man is. I used to like him when he was sticking to games. I don't like him anymore. He says, kind of crazy to think that everyone is talking about how the world is run by PDF files on an app that is owned by a PDF file. It's as if, of course he's doing this to virtue signal to the progressives. That's what he's doing. To the liberals. He loves it. He says this. And again, if you're a liberal, at least admit it. I appreciate it. You must be a very open-minded one. Appreciate that. But let's call it for what it is. He's making the statement because, of course, they're all going to be like, oh, yeah, so good, thank you, inclusive. But the reality is this is a crime, guys. This is a crime. It's what happened to Asmongold all over again. And Asmongold sued them because they made that, when you call someone, oh, you're a piece of shit, okay, it's not criminal, you can say it. Say it about me, I don't even care. We probably say it like 15 times with my cousin when we are playing games, who cares? But if you say, oh, this person is a PDF file, and they went and did stuff, you're accusing them of a crime. That is defamation. I hope Elon Musk sues him. I'm just going to say it. Because I'm sick of people doing this. They do it with YouTubers because of political. Why do you think people said that Asmongold is a PDF file and he was dating an underage girl when it was not true? Because of his politics. That's what it is. And it gotta go. It's gotta go. This age in which there are no repercussions for crimes gotta go. So the likes of Hassan Piker pushing for violence in the street, they need to lose everything they have. Same for Destiny. Same for anyone, by the way, on my side as well. Who does? If they do it, I don't care we can believe the exact same things. But if you do it, if you start saying we need to go and shoot everyone in the head, okay, the government needs to intervene because that's not protected speech. But the other thing that we need to have is we need to have accountability for people that call others PDF files when there is no crime, there is no proof, it's nonsense. But anyways, let's see the king.
Oh, this is a new one. Bill Gates apparently did make a comment. Bill Gates breaks his silence on the latest release of the Epstein Files. This is from today.
Every minute I spent with him, I regret and I apologize that I did that.
Part of that issue of trust brings me to Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know what your relationship with him was.
Yeah, I met Jeffrey in 2011. So over a period of 3 years, I had a number of dinners with him.
Yeah.
The focus was always...
So what about like the Russian hookers?
He knew a lot of very rich people.
See, that's what I mean. I freaking love this guy. I'll read the super chat. Just give me a second. I want to see about the Russian hookers.
People, and he was saying he could get them to give money to global health. In retrospect, that was a dead end, and I've said many times, but I'll say again, I was foolish to spend time with him. I was one of many people who regret ever knowing him.
Right.
You've no doubt seen the allegations, including some of them from the last 24 to 48 hours.
So the interviewer is from Australia. Allegations.
Are they true?
No, apparently Jeffrey wrote an email to himself. That email was never sent. The email is,
Okay, look. This looks, I'm just going to say, this looks guilty as F. Because if I was sitting on that chair and someone asked me, did you go? Are the allegations real? And I am innocent, I would have flipped the table. I would have said, absolutely not. I did nothing of the like. Not, so the email technically was not, so the email.
False. So I don't know what his thinking was there. Was he trying to attack me in some way? But
So let me get this straight.
Thank you.
Jeffrey Epstein wrote an email to himself because he knew that after he was killed, the main thing that he wanted the public to know is that you were sleeping with Russian hookers and he wanted to give your wife a antibiotic so she wouldn't know that you transmitted an STD that you got from Russian hookers to her. And he knew this almost 10 years before he died.
And that he tried to get medication to treat a sexually transmitted infection, and that he was going to give you the medicine without you knowing.
You know, guys, I'm just going to say it. don't cheat. You have a wife, stay with your wife. Then you will not get any STDs. Also, don't go to the islands. Thank you.
You know, I left my marriage. I had to leave my marriage. I wanted to leave my marriage. So whatever questions remain there of what I can't even begin to know.
Wait, that's the wife?
All of it. Those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me.
And he did this to frame you specifically, to embarrass you for... Just listen, man. Really, just come out and say it.
But, it just reminds me,
Yeah.
every minute I spent with him, I regret and I, apologize that I...
Yeah, you apologize because you were caught. Am I right, boys and girls? The other day I said boys and someone was like, but I'm a girl. Boys and girls. Holy moly. That was Melinda. Well, if Melinda divorced him, I'm going to think that it is true. I'm sorry. Not because, she could have divorced him for a different reason. But this is not sounding... I would rather appreciate more if the guy said, look, I did go. I slept with a bunch of Russian high-end hookers that I paid $10,000 each. And I cheated on my wife. But I never touched a child. I would believe that, and I would be like, okay, so Bill Gates is clearly not the example we want to follow for the traditional man and the traditional family. That's it. But the fact that he's going to twist everything, now I'm going to think, well, I don't know, what about the rest? Did he ever
I did that.
The problem is some of the things that he has sent and some of the information about other people
Information.
in those files has been true. Why would he...
The problem is that the other stuff was true. Why is the stuff about you not true? What a great question.
Yeah.
do this and say this about you, do you think?
Yeah. Why would he do this?
It's factually true that I was only at dinners. I never went to the island. I never met any
He
women.
never went to the island. He never met any women. Well, if you didn't meet any women, why is there a photo of you next to a woman with her face?
Man, Detective Asmongold on the scene, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, how do you explain this? Mr. Gates?
Face blacked out. That seems very odd.
And so, the more that comes out, the more clear it'll be that although the time was a mistake, it had nothing to do with that kind of behavior.
Man, another Microsoft pro...
If you appreciate my content so far and wish to help ensure my ability to continue to tell it how it is, regardless of any possible backlash, please support this channel on Patreon. Any support helps me and my team of academics keep the channel strong and gives us the means to fight back against the political rewriting of history. Stand with us, form the wall, defend the truth.
God. How about that? Cooked? Yeah, I guess so.
That's pretty good.
Oh my God. No.
Oh no.
No, guys.
Okay, so that was pretty good. Let's go for the next one because I'm on an Epstein mission, but I'm going to say this again. Does it look guilty to me? Yes. But again, if they don't prove it in a court of law, like we need some investigations here. We need to go deep into the matter. Like we need to know. And talking about that, did you see, before we move to the next one and the super chats, did you see what Stephen King said about the Epstein Files? Now, given Stephen King, I would like to underline, so you know my position on Stephen King. Stephen King is an absolute, complete, total muppet. Like he is. I think he's a clown. And you're like, but what are you talking about? He's amazing. No, his writings, his product, his stuff, whatever. But I'd say that I completely stopped being respecting this man when he slandered Charlie Kirk. Given he apologized for it. So you remember, if you don't know, immediately after Charlie Kirk died, Stephen King said that Charlie Kirk said that we should stone gay people to death. Problem is, Charlie never said that. So what Stephen King did, willingly or not, maybe not, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but he believed the nonsense. He could have, because of course, bigot, right? He was a bigot, deserved it. That was the idea. That was the message that Mr. King decided to share with the world. And before you say, yeah, Metatron, but it's because you agreed with Charlie Kirk, hold on a minute. I defended Robert, what's his name? I'm terrible with names. The left-wing guy who hates Trump that just got stabbed by his son. And there were people laughing. I'm like, no, it's wrong to laugh. An entire day, I posted like 15 times calling out people, stop laughing, it's a tragedy. So I'm just against laughing at tragedies regardless of politics. But this guy was a clown. It was not true. Reiner, thank you. I also defended that. I'm like, guys, it doesn't matter. At this point, yeah, I disagreed with a lot of the politics of Rob Reiner. But I didn't want him to be stabbed by his son. That's awful. I'm not going to laugh about it. It's terrible. Likewise, yeah, when Charlie Kirk died, it was a tragedy. He's got children. He's got a wife. What the heck? But Stephen King decided no. He was a bigot because he said we should stone gay people to death, but it wasn't true. So when he was called out, he apologized. Good for him, because I was already making a video to call him out. I called the video out because he apologized. Still a clown, though. Next time, check. Next time, check. But then again, on the Epstein Files, he also has an opinion, the man. He has an opinion. His opinion is, release the Epstein Files, all caps, unredacted. Now, should we give him the benefit of the doubt? Or should we read it for how it's written? Because how it's written, this is nonsense. Because unredacted means everything, including the victims' faces and names. No. You need to unredact, like for instance, if you have a sender and then you have a receiver of an email, I want to know who the receiver of the email is, unless it's a victim. So redact all the victims, unless maybe it's someone who came forward, like if they already came forward out of their own volition, then it might help investigations, or it might help if you let the public know, then I guess it doesn't matter, but the victims want to get this behind them. Now, you could tell me, no, but I think when he says unredacted, he means great. Maybe we should give him the benefit of the doubt. I kind of struggle, though, after that situation with Charlie Kirk. Also, because he has 6 million. Guys, I have 60,000 followers on X. I think 50 times before I post something. 50 being hyperbolic, but I think before I post. This guy posts this. How do I know? Maybe he actually means it. Maybe he means what he writes. Why do I need to change it for him in my head? Couldn't he say it? Unredacted, exception being the victims. Couldn't he do it? 6 million followers. If that's what he means, then he's a clown. Because the victims need to be protected. But I do agree that we have seen emails and you don't see, like, they redacted the person that is receiving the email. No. Show them all. We want to know. Who the heck was it? What did they do? That's the reality of it. And what's the next one? All right, massive leak. Let's have a look.
Epstein on tape advising former Israeli PM Barak to approach Palantir founder Peter Thiel.
There's 2 cyber companies. Look out, and even though I know Peter, I've never met Peter Thiel, and everybody says
this guy looks like a demon. Look at his face. Look how it's elongated. Turn him red. He really looks like I picture a devil in hell, a demon.
He sort of jumps around and acts sort of strange, like he's on drugs.
Smoking, yeah. He looks under drugs.
However, he has a company called Palantir, P-A-L-L-E-N.
Palantir, P-A-L-A-N-T-I-E-R?
Yes.
T-H-I-E-L-L.
See, guys, it's not just me. This goes all the way to the top.
He's talking about the verbal dyslexia.
So he thought that Peter would put you on the board of Palantir. Peter Thiel is one of the best. I've never met him. He's going to come here next week.
He's one of the best. I've never met him.
What they are? It's a lobbyist. What they are?
They are the biggest venture capital. Everybody, these are the smart boys. So those 2 companies right away.
Approved by Jeffrey Epstein.
I think.
Gracious.
How'd you get introduced?
It was Reid Hoffman in Silicon Valley introduced us in 2014.
Silicon Valley. Of course. I swear, if we're going to talk about this at large, I really believe that you want to talk corruption, the whole Hollywood circle, all of that like upper end, rich California actors stuff is hell. I really believe it. Like, it's a freaking cult.
Probably was my moral weakness that I.
Well, how could you have known back then? He had never been arrested.
No, this was 2014. It was post arrest.
Oh, so his arrest was the first arrest, right?
Yeah,
which was like 2007.
Well, that's what happens.
Okay.
But you assume he didn't go to jail for that long.
Right.
It was probably not as serious as alleged.
When the shit went down and Epstein gets arrested for the second time, where you're like, oh, well, there you go.
I've thought about it.
I've thought about it. Yeah, I bet.
thought
Ehud
about-
Barak hides his face as he enters Jeffrey Epstein's mansion.
Former Prime Minister Ehud Barak covering his face as he entered the convicted
Oh my
pedophile's home.
gosh.
This was back in 2016, and on the same day, a group of young women were also seen arriving at Epstein's home.
Yeah, and even when they are adults, that doesn't mean, like, right? If you remove the morality that we discussed based on face a second ago, even when they're adults and you're thinking, well, but she's 25, she's 23, she's 20. Right, but you should ask yourself, is she there because that's what she wants to do and she doesn't care, gets the money and buys a new iPhone? Or is she there because she's poor and they are in whatever country she's from, and then they are exploiting that, and she's doing it because she's, at that point, just give her money and don't touch her and report all of this. What I'm trying to say is that all of this thing about sex work, like they call it now, it's not work, by the way. It doesn't matter how you paint it. There are very limited cases when I'm like, consenting adults, I mean, whatever, if she really wants to do that, do whatever you want. I mean, freedom at that point. But in a lot of situations, and I'm going to add OnlyFans 2 into this, it's just, oh, it's your way. Did you read the OnlyFans page, by the way? I have a video dedicated to it, where they're like, we are happy to help our creators express themselves artistically. Oh, yeah? Man, seriously, it's even more dangerous because it's sanitized. It's like, because if you tell a 15-year-old girl and you tell her, hey, you could make money if you go being a prostitute in the streets, she's like, oh, I don't want to do that. But if you sanitize it, this is the sickness of the society we live in today. If you sanitize it and you say, no, but this is content creation. You're a worker. You're an expression. You're free. You're a free woman, and you'll be rich, and you'll make a video. Then a lot of youth are like, oh, I want to do that. I'm going to be rich. And it's not, there is no stigma. They're removing the stigma. The stigma should have never been removed from prostitution. And I know that you're going to tell me about that because I was told this, but there are some OnlyFans girls that just show a picture of, I don't know, her feet. She's not doing anything for fine. I don't care. I'm talking about the prawn. I'm talking about prawn. And a lot of this, it's sick because it's like barely legal. It's like she's turning 18 tonight. Right, but when did she make all of that content? That's the problem with changing the words. That's the problem. That's why I was talking about this on one of my posts as well. The control over language is control over people. It really is like that. That's why if you are a woman in 2026 and maybe you're a very maybe you don't like Christianity, I do. You don't like it. You don't like Christianity. You are all about freedom for women and you like the feminists in the 60s. That's fine. I can respect all of that. But up to a certain point, I would tell you, just be a centrist. If you hear some of the extreme people on the right and they piss you off as a woman, that's the problem with changing the words. That's the problem. That's why I was talking about this on one of my posts as well. The control over language is control over people. It really is like that. That's why if you are a woman in 2026 and maybe you're a very maybe you don't like Christianity, I do. You don't like it. You don't like Christianity. You are all about freedom for women and you like the feminists in the 60s. That's fine. I can respect all of that. But up to a certain point, I would tell you, just be a centrist. If you hear some of the extreme people on the right and they piss you off as a woman, I get it. Be a centrist. Just don't become a progressive. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because, come on. Mother, no, it's individual who ovulates. Female, no, it's individual who menstruates. They're taking all the most beautiful words that describe some of the most beautiful things. Motherhood. Feminine. Woman. It's all gone. At this point, be a centrist. Be an independent. Because this is getting insane. That you can't say this because but we don't want to offend the 0.0000007% of the population that has gender dysphoria, so you have to say individual who ovulate. Birthing parent. Mother. Literally, from the Indo-European archaic stem mother. I will never stop saying it. And if you're a woman, you be left-leaning all you want. Just be independent at this point, because these people, they're taking it all away. Because they don't want to offend that, but they're offending women. I'm sorry, they're offending women. That's not feminism. Maybe it started as feminism, but it became something else. Birthing partner, like it's a business deal. It's not my partner. It's my wife. It's not my partner. Goodness gracious. Sorry, I got... it is what it is.
Brock is already trying to distance himself from Epstein and their business partnerships.
Even more of it. What's the future of Israel?
Yeah.
I mean, something will happen in Iran. Maybe we'll succeed. Maybe we won't. But the demography seems terrible. Nobody sane seems to be procreating, and everybody insane in their own way seems to have 5 children. If you're regular Israeli, you have 1.5 children.
I think the Arabs are going...
Why was he talking to this guy about this? I don't get it. What on earth?
Slowly. They were 40 years ago, they were 16%, now they are 20%. We should be able to make...
So they're talking about like demographic
provide
changes.
equality. First to the Druze,
Yeah.
they are about 1%, they are totally Israelis in their behavior by security people.
Man, no way. No way. This is from Jeffrey Epstein. This is not me saying it. It's Jeffrey Epstein saying it. This is the way the Jew make money and made a fortune in the past 10 years. Selling short the shipping futures. Let the Goyim deal in the real world. Goyim were born to only serve us. Without that, they have no place in the world.
Goodness gracious.
This is insane. Stop being asymmetric. Listen, I mean, anybody, if you're looking at this...
Guys, I would like to underline, for everyone who uses anti-Semitic improperly, you know me, linguist background, if you criticize Israel, you're not anti-Semitic. If you criticize a Jew, you're not anti-Semitic. If you criticize the Jewish religion, you're not anti-Semitic. If you hate Jews because of their ethnicity and you start spewing hatred against them, you are anti-Semitic. Can we use it correctly? Thank you.
Stuff. You've got to admit, this is crazy, guys. What are we doing here?
Man. Holy moly. Goodness gracious.